What is it like to be a conservative in a blue state? Let's find out. Living and growing up in a blue state is almost like living behind enemy lines. The very state that you live in has a completely different set of morals and values than you do. You might want to exercise your rights as intended by our great Constitution, but then you're faced with state laws that violate the Constitution and could land you felony charges if you don't obey them. And then in not following their tyrannical, unconstitutional gun laws, if you break them and get a felony charge, then that could even bar you from even potentially exercising your Second Amendment at all. For example, if you want to have a normal AR-15 setup like most free states, you can't because they're classified as assault weapons. But there's two ways that you can still have your AR legal. You just have to pretty much neuter them. The first way is a fixed magazine, where you either have to disassemble your firearm to be able to load it, or to use a speed loader, and this setup can cause lots of different problems, especially if you get a double feed. Not being able to take the magazine out in the middle of something can cause a lot of problems. I know California has a different law. They don't have to have it epoxied in from what I believe, but in New York you have to have the magazine epoxied, so even when you take the pins down, you still can't attach the magazine, so you have to load it through the top or through the side with a speed loader. The second way you can have this legal is called featureless. This kind of like mimics hunting rifles from what I believe they were trying to go for there. You can't have a pistol grip, any protruding pistol grip that protrudes suspiciously beneath the action. You cannot have a muzzle device, and this is for New York State. It's kind of similar in California with the featureless. From what I know, California can have a little bit more leeway on some of this stuff, but don't take this as legal advice. But from New York standpoint, where I grew up, can't have a muzzle device. You cannot have a telescoping stock. You can't have a foregrip. Can't have any bayonet device, grenade launcher type of device. So everything together is no pistol grip, no telescoping stock, no foregrip, and no any type of muzzle device, flash hider, or muzzle brake. If you have the fixed magazine, you can have the features. You can have the scary features. You just can't detach your magazine. Once you're able to detach the magazine, then they want you to have it featureless. It doesn't change the rate of fire. It doesn't change the caliber. It just makes the gun more dangerous to hold because you actually have nothing to hold on to. And some people shape their rifles and get different attachments to make it more wieldy, but for someone just trying to make it legal to abide, it's unwieldy and, in my opinion, way more dangerous. And after you do all that, you can avoid risking a felony charge. If that doesn't seem bad enough, they just passed ammo background checks. This is in California too. In California, they were trying to stop it, where every time you want to purchase any type of ammo, you have to go through a background check. So even 22 ammo, you have to go through a background check, making the wait even longer. And they haven't even created a system where if you pass one time, you're good for 3 months. No, every single time you have to go through this background check process. And before they passed that, with the Buffalo shooting, they passed you have to be 21 to purchase any semi-automatic rifle, pretty much going through the same process as getting a pistol permit. You need to go through a 16-hour class, fingerprints, having 4 references that sign their name and get notarized, as well as completing lots of paperwork, and that is all put on your expense, and you have to go through it for them to be able to even consider deciding if you are worthy enough to be able to defend your life outside of the home or conceal carry. That is even if you want to have a Ruger 1022, but luckily the Supreme Court made it easier to get a pistol permit, not requiring you to have a valid special reason for it. And they previously wanted you to share your social media. Luckily, that was shot down as well, so you don't have to share with them your social media, so they could deem whatever they think is unworthy of being able to have a firearm for self-protection. And that's just gun rights. Then you go to religious beliefs, political beliefs, on what you think is going on with immigration and all these different types of aspects. It just seems like they're completely against you as a conservative. Growing up, there's a city 20 minutes away from my small town that they were shipping illegals up from the city to this other smaller city right next to the countryside, into this hotel, and I'm sure all of it was covered by the taxpayers' expense. Numerous things to letting criminals out of prison while we're trying to restrict our firearm rights, to trying to come out and say that we're trying to get insurance on firearm owners, so you have to pay insurance every month in case your firearm causes damage, to having record taxes, red flag laws, no due process for taking away lawful firearms. In places like New York, for self-defense, you can't defend property, but say someone breaks into your house, if you don't see that they have a weapon or anything that can lethally injure you or kill you, you have to retreat to the very ends of your own home before you could use lethal force to protect your life. So if someone breaks in, it's nighttime, you don't see what they have, you shoot them because you don't want to wait to find out if they have a gun or not, if that kills you and they didn't have a gun on them, you could potentially have legal ramification there. These type of laws are anti-human in my opinion. It's like they want the criminal to have more power, knowing that you can't even do anything to stop them. Why is it these conservative states put forward your God-given rights, and when it comes to these liberal states, that you're just not even human, you're not even allowed to defend your own home or your life, or you gotta retreat in your own home And believe it or not, these big blue cities like Buffalo, Rochester, and I'm sure that's how it is in California. There's probably lots of countryside out in California. And in New York, I 100% know because I grew up there. Lots of countryside. It's all conservatives in upstate New York. It's just these giant blue cities have so many people. They get to dictate our lives. They get to pass the laws. They never shot guns, a lot of them. They never hunted. They never fished. And they tell us that we can't have certain types of weapons, even though they never even shot them. And if you go watch my previous video teaching a liberal firearms, after teaching a liberal firearms and the laws they could even admit, it doesn't even seem like it's about safety. It just makes it even more dangerous, these gun laws. Well, the criminals will not go through hell and high water to try to make their guns legal. But it's not the end of the world if you're a conservative in a blue state. If you live in a small town, you still have family, you still have your friends. You might live in upstate New York and have lots of woods, trees, you're out in the countryside, and you just have to follow some of these dumb laws, but you still live your life, you still hunt, you still fish, you still have community, and same thing at these other blue states. Listen, we are the resistance. It is up to us to Paul Revere in these modern times to get this message out there. Think of it as we are behind enemy lines. Tell people what is coming. Seeing Revolutionary War vets' graves reminds me of what they fought and died for freedom against tyranny. And it's sad to see some of these eastern states, the first to have freedom, one of the first to get rid of freedom. It is up to us to stand in the gap, ladies and gentlemen. Believe me, I grew up in a blue state, but a good small farming town. And ladies and gentlemen, it is not the end. Keep fighting, and I'll see you on the next one.